Welcome to Quiet and Set. As always, I'm the other Kev, and with me, also as always, is Stobie.
Hello, and welcome. This week, I'm going to have a little look at Darkest Hour. You haven't seen this, Kev, sure you haven't?
Nope.
Gary Oldman's Winston Churchill. That threw me the first time I seen the trailer, because I still want to see the Brian Cox one, but I haven't seen it, obviously. Because I have so little time to see fucking everything, and those, like, shockingly Darkest Hour has stayed in the cinema a long time. But Churchill with Brian Cox flew out. Literally was there for like 2 weeks and it was just gone. Whereas this has actually stayed, and I think that's why I've seen it. But
Really sorry for the reasons.
yeah, but saying that now, I don't know whether it was because I didn't go in with much expectation, or obviously Gary Oldman was phenomenal as Gary Oldman.
It's Gary
I always
Oldman.
get thrown by prosthetic, because he doesn't look anything like Gary Oldman. In my opinion, early on he didn't look an awful lot like Churchill, but as the movie goes on, you're kind of like, actually, the way he does his mannerisms and stuff, you're like, hang on, actually that's a bit good. The thing I like most about Gary Oldman's performance is he doesn't focus on the public aspect, like the public character of Churchill. He focuses on a private character of Churchill. Like, nobody liked him anyway, but
Was Churchill not liked?
no, he's hated. Like, the only reason that he became Prime Minister is because when Chamberlain stepped down as British Prime Minister after the vote of no confidence, the opposition gets to, like, the only way that they could form a government is if they made a coalition with the opposition. And the only person that the opposition would accept as Prime Minister would have been Churchill, because of how aligned with them he seemed. But in my opinion, I think he was the best man for the job. You see Gary Oldman displays wit and charm. His wife was talking to him. She said, I go out there and I want them to love you as much as I do. And he said, he was just the way he came back from her, like he was self-deprecating but in a really humorous way. And it was like, I laughed a lot in this film, and it contrasted with the utter tension that the film builds, because the film is set just before, it's set a couple of days before Dunkirk, right, where they're getting absolutely hammered in Europe. Europe is being completely taken over by the Nazis. Most of the British forces are on the mainland Europe. They're committed, and they could be all lost. And so the main party, I can't remember, I think it's whatever party Chamberlain was with anyway, they want to, the top two boys in that, Chamberlain and the other fella, who is Ishmael or some duke chap that nobody gives a fuck about anyway. The party wanted him to be Prime Minister, but he was like, nah, let Churchill be Prime Minister. Basically, he didn't want to have to take all the blame. He wasn't ready for taking the blame for losing England the war, essentially. And he clashed head. The long-time enemies of Churchill, anyway. But the way the story is written, they have... This is so fun. They have Churchill. He was like... Basically, the reason people liked him is because he always told them the truth. He always told them straight. And then when he became Prime Minister, he lied to them a lot. Like, we are winning, we are doing this with... Basically, his plan to raise morale was to just make them believe that they're winning, make them believe that they're doing real well, and then they actually will do well, which is a common leadership trait. Because good way to make sure that someone remains confident is to lie to them and tell them they're doing real well. He did broadcast real well. Like, Churchill, played by Gary Oldman, is shown to be real abrasive, but after like a couple of minutes, like 10, 20, 30 minutes into the movie, when you finally meet him, and then he just kind of grows. It's something about him, he just kind of grows on you. And like his constant optimism in the face of the adversity shown by everybody else in power, just, it makes you kind of respect him, like it genuinely does. And then there's this absolutely fantastic scene. I've seen it in the trailer, but I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I did. He goes on, earlier on in the film, he's talking to his driver about how he'd never been on the metro and he doesn't know what it's like and all the rest. And someone says something to him about, ask the people what they want. Like, you're here to represent the people, ask them. And so he goes on to the metro. And when people like gradually notice that, well, it's Winston Churchill, that's the Prime Minister, like, they're all in shock and they're all like real tense. And then there was a chap, he asked if anyone had a light, and this chap stood up and he was like, yeah, I do. And he was saying, so he asked him what his name was, and he told him his name. He said he was a bricklayer. And he's like, oh, well, we're going to have a great need of bricklayers after that industry is about to have a boom. And it just broke the tension then, and he was just asking just people who they were, what they believed and all the rest. And then he asked them if there was an opportunity to get peace talks with the Nazis, would they want him to enter into it? Would they want him to give up and to give the Nazis what they want? And there was a resounding never. But it's just that scene in particular, it stirs a sense of like hope, like not English by any stretch of the imagination, and Churchill was no friend to Irish people in any way, but just the way that they didn't want to give up and fuck them and all the rest, it just kind of stirs you with a bit of hope, a bit of pizzazz. And for me, like, this movie is set before Dunkirk, and then at the very end Dunkirk happens, and
leading nicely into Christopher Nolan's movie.
Not really, but it would if you watch this and then Dunkirk, I think it would give you a better payoff at the end of Dunkirk.
Like, I heard after The Post, you should watch All the King's Men or All the President's Men.
I think it's All the King's Men. I think it's All the President's Men. It's one of them anyway. It's something to do with Watergate.
Yeah.
And then Frost Nixon would also be a good one as well. We'll get to that in a minute.
In a different episode.
In a different episode, yeah. But for me, like, at the end of Dunkirk now, I'm only going to touch on it quickly just because they link up really well. For me, Dunkirk should have been a story of hope, but there's no real, well, for me anyway, there was no real connection to any of the characters. So when they were saved, I was just kind of like, oh, thank God that's over. Do you know what I mean? Like, while I appreciated the craft and I appreciated the visuals, the story wasn't there for me. Like, if a film doesn't connect with you on an emotional level, what's the point in watching it? Do you know the kind of way?
Chris Nolan is usually very good at doing the emotional.
He normally is, but that's what I mean.
Like, you didn't like Interstellar, but I love that movie.
I liked Interstellar. It's just, actually, I did. I like it. It's there. Like, it's right. I watched Interstellar with Moon. I think it goes really well with Moon. But
but like, Dunkirk is a movie that doesn't really have a lot of talking in it.
Yeah, but like, it shouldn't need dialogue to make you connect with somebody. Like, it should. Like, there should be someone in that movie that everyone identifies. Not everyone, but like, you should have someone where you go, oh, I hope this happens. I hope that they get this, and like, you know what I mean. There should be, like, it's about saving 300,000 people. Like, I should have felt an impact at the end when they were saved. Do you know?
How many did they save in the end though?
They saved them all. They saved all 300,000. And then
cool.
they also saved, I think it was like 80,000 French troopers as well. So they saved so many people, and yeah, at the end I was just like, alright, cool, nice one, Kenneth Branagh, see you later. Do you know what I mean?
See you in lovely...
See you on the Orient Express, like, do you know what I mean? Also, I have to touch on... Okay, just as a round off to that, so basically, the reason I like this better than Dunkirk is that the character focus on Churchill, it somehow makes it more human, because you see how, like, the stress is unimaginable. Like, he sacrifices an entire platoon of 4,000 men to draw the attention away from the 300,000 in Dunkirk, and his assistant takes notes to send for telegrams, and he starts the telegram with "Dear," I think it's Brigadier General, whatever your name is. I'm terrible.
Does he say whatever your name is?
No, he says his actual name.
Oh, right.
It's Brigadier General, and I can't think of the rest of it. But he says, like, really, you've shown absolute magnificent patriotism. You're a hero, but your rescue is never coming. And she just stops typing. Like, she doesn't even type that. She just starts crying. And she's like, can I be excused? And he's like, no. What's wrong? And she's like, we only hear like snippets and we don't actually know what's going on, and that actually makes it worse because people guess and things. And he's like, well, what do you want to know? And then she asks him about the war and stuff and how's it's going, and he tells her. He brings her into the bunker, which he's not allowed to go into. He brings her into the map room, which he's definitely not allowed into. And he shows her what the situation is. She's just like, it's just like, it's soul crushing. Like, imagine, like, he had to kill, essentially he killed 4,000 men. Like, he still, at the end of the day, he still saved 300,000, but he mightn't have. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know, it's just like the absolute stakes of his job, and you see it in him. Like, he goes from this pig, like at the start everyone sees him as pig-headed and obnoxious, but then you realise that he just wants to win. Like, he has the strategy in his head. He just, sometimes it doesn't get executed, sometimes someone fucks it up on him. And even the king, who didn't like him in the beginning, comes around. It's just, that character development of him informs the larger situation, and then you appreciate the larger situation more, whereas Dunkirk gives you the full scope, so you don't attach to anything. It's like when you're reading a number. After the first 2 digits of a number, you don't actually read the whole number. You just go, well, that's a big number, and you just move on.
Is that King George at the time?
It would have been King George.
From King's Speech.
Yeah.
So another movie.
He has a stammer. He has the slight speech. Like, it's not as heavy as in King's Speech, because King's Speech is the focus of King's Speech is that he has the thing, whereas this is the stammer. Whereas in this one, it's not. And then the chap that's also like that they want to replace Churchill with also has a bit of a speech impediment, but no one mentions it. So you're just we won't get into it, but it's just, I don't know if the actual
chap have it, or is it the actor he's playing has it?
I don't know. And then the way Gary Oldman delivers the "we'll fight them on the beaches" speech, like, it just, I welled up. Like, it was just absolutely fantastic. Like, it's a fantastically written speech, and Churchill should be recognised as one of the best English orators of all time.
Did he write his own speeches?
He writes his own speeches. Like, granted, he had his assistant either helping or reading over, but he has a fantastic grasp of the English language. And at the very end of the speech, after that fighting on the beaches speech, they ask one of the chaps what happened, and he says he just mobilised the English language. Has to be talked about. His assistant is played by Lily James. She's Deborah in Baby Driver. She's also Cinderella, and she's in Pride and Prejudice. She's not major, but she's really, really, really good. And in this, she plays the part, I think, to a T. Like, she's like a fully realised person. She's not kind of sidelined as well. She's just the assistant. She just takes the notes. Like, she has feelings. She has a journey as well. And she just adds, I think, volumes to Churchill's character, because she kind of shows the emotion he's not allowed to show, if you know what I mean.
And the movie Churchill, what part of time was that involved?
I don't actually know, because I was supposed to. I think it's
have you
before
seen it yet?
D-Day. No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, right, I thought you might have seen it.
I think that's set at a later stage. I think it's set before D-Day, because he's in talks, like, he's in person talks with one of the presidents. I can't remember which one. Probably the one that was on during the war, but sure, look. Yeah, so that's later again. So they're just kind of snapshots, really, of Churchill's life at various. But I think I think it's nominated, but if it's not, regardless, it's still extremely.
I think it's Gary's nominated.
Definitely, he's Gary Oldman. Like, he shits Oscars, for God's sake.
Does he have that many though?
Don't think he has that many, but he's definitely nominated countless times. And he just transformed in this movie. I think it was really, really good. Like, is a shame that he was such a good performer that he kind of overshadows Lily James, but her nuanced performance kind of added to it as well. Yeah, that's all. That's literally everything I wanted to cover. Just the comparisons to Dunkirk were noteworthy for me anyway.
So just to let the fans know, we've obviously gone in a different...
Yeah, we're going in a different direction now. We decided to cut the podcast into its own thing and then leave the movie reviews to its own thing, so we can kind of split focus and we can have fun and the crack on one and then just have a nice chat about a film on the other one.
And so that means Kev's 10 words or less is now
Other Kev's is RIP. Other Kev's 10 words or less are RIP. Fun facts is RIP.
So yeah,
I'll let you play us out, Kevin. You're the host.
So we have always been and always will be the other Kev, Stobie, and you have listened to us talk about
The darkest era.
the darkest era. I was about to say Dunkirk.
Just Dunkirk, Winston Churchill. Nothing in particular.
Till next time, take care. Goodbye. See ya.